Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Monae and you are watching Life is Monae. Today I'm going to be doing a video tag that was inspired by a YouTuber by the name of Reading Black, and me and the hotties decided to go ahead and do the tag. It is called the Black Booktuber Tag, and we're just going to answer some questions and get into some Black inspired books that I love to read and authors that I love. First question is to tell you guys a little bit about myself. I am Monae. I am a junior in college. I am studying history. I am a mother. I am a wife of a military soldier, and I am a licensed cosmetologist. I feel like I just said a lot of things. I'm a chef. I'm an artist. I'm a hairstylist. I'm a creator. I'm a YouTuber, booktuber, avid lover of chocolate. I'm a lot of things, guys. So the second question is going to be a Black author that I enjoy reading that no one really knows about, and I'm not exactly sure how famous or unfamous this author is. I've read a few of her works and I really enjoy them, but I haven't seen much of her on BookTube or Book Twitter. Brandy Colbert has written Little and a Lion. She's also written Finding Yvonne and The Revolution of Birdie Randolph. And I think that she just had a new release come out this year. She just had a new release come out March of this year, and that is called The Only Black Girls in Town, and I have not read it yet, but I would like to get to it. But I've read two of her works before and I really enjoy her writing, and I feel like she has a way with words, and her books are just really enticing for me. My favorite book by her is going to be Finding Yvonne. It follows a girl who grows up in a not so perfect environment. Her mother is not really in her life. She walked out when Yvonne was younger, and she also doesn't have the best relationship with her father, and she's nervous and uncomfortable and unsure about her future, about whether or not she can pursue a future in music, because she really loves the violin and she loves playing it. And she meets a guy that understands what she's going through. He understands her struggles, and he is a fellow musician himself, and she kind of gets lost in him and she becomes pregnant. And so the story just kind of unfolds from there, and it's a book that I really enjoyed from Brandy. The next question is going to be my favorite book about the Black experience, and I don't have a physical copy of this because I did read it as an ebook. That is going to be The New Jim Crow, which is about mass incarceration by Michelle Alexander, and I really think that everyone should read this book. She goes into depth about how far we've progressed from slavery into racism, into the Jim Crow laws, and even when those laws were abolished, how now mass incarceration is the new Jim Crow. I think it's really important for us to understand that as Black people, we only represent, don't quote me on this, but 13 to 14% of the population in America, but we make up almost 40% of the population in prison. So it doesn't make any sense for such a small minority group to make up such a big majority of prisoners. And in the Black community, because of this, it is so common for us to know someone who's going to prison, know someone who's been to prison, have a family member or father or brother or cousin who will at some point go to prison, and how it just affects us, and how even though the terms of what we call our oppression may change, they never really get these shackles off of us. We're always somehow at the mercy of being Black in America. And something that I really enjoyed about this book is that she goes into depth about everything that you didn't even know about slavery, everything that you didn't know about racism. And as a history major, this is something that's near and dear to my heart. Most people don't know that there were indentured servants who were white, were here and worked on plantations alongside with slaves. So there was free labor and there was slave labor. That's going to play a really vital part to how slavery progressed in America. Slavery in America was solely based on racism, and that is one of the only examples in history of slavery that there is. It wasn't necessarily only about pushing our economy or just growing the country. It literally came down to the color of our skin. And also there were poor or minority whites that were in the same boat as us. The government basically gave them more perks, and that is what separated the free labor from the slave labor, because essentially we lived the same lives, we had the same duty, we were all in poverty, we were all at the bottom of the totem pole. But when they separated free labor from slave labor, it created kind of a shift, and so white minorities went slightly above African Americans who were serving and working on the plantations, and that progressed into where we are today, because there is not much that white minorities won't do just to make sure that they don't fall to the bottom of the totem pole. We all have the same struggles. We all have to overcome the same obstacles. But at the end of the day, it is common knowledge that it is better to be poor and to be white. And this stems from them back during slavery times, separating free labor from slave labor. And she talks about this in the book, and I think that is very vital for everyone to know. And secondly, I'm a very avid supporter for Indigenous Americans and how unjustly they're treated. And she also speaks to how literally one of the few reasons that we became slaves is, one, because we had a stronger immune system. Most of the Africans that were coming into America to be slaves had already traveled a voyage and traveled a long way. So those of us who couldn't stand the measles and all the different viruses and infections that they had, we died off on the way here. But by the time we made it to America, if we were still alive, we technically had a stronger immune system. It is different for Indigenous people because they had never been exposed to a lot of the diseases that the Europeans came to America with. So one, they died a little faster than Black people. And two, what history doesn't tell you in school is that the natives fought back. They were resilient and they did not go down without a fight, and they were considered too uncivilized and too barbaric to be slaves. And that is literally the difference between Europeans deciding to eradicate them and just wipe them off from existence and taking us as slaves. It's because we lived longer and we were not in a position to fight back in the same way that they were. So I really, really love this book. I feel like it's something that everybody should read. It is a nonfiction, so if you're someone who's not into reading books that kind of feel like dissertations, because she does throw a lot of facts at you, but they are so important for you to understand where we are in America today, where Black people are in America today, and like I said, just how far people are willing to go to make sure that minority, children of the soil, Black children, Native children, Hispanic children, I call us all children of the soil, to make sure that children of the soil stay at the bottom, and white minorities, even though they don't have the same opportunities as their richer counterparts, are not at the bottom of the totem pole. They need to be slightly just a step above us. So that is why I really recommend the Jim Crow laws, because I feel like they speak realistically to what every Black person experiences in America. I could rave about this book for a long time, but if it's something that you're interested in, I implore you to go and check it out and read it. It's a short book, only about, I think it's less than 300 pages if I remember correctly, but it is so packed with information that could literally change your life. The next question is going to be for me to recommend a Black and queer book. The one that's on my mind that I read most recently is going to be The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin, just because she has a trans character in there. She has polyamory couples in there. So it's just a broad scale of LGBT rep in that book. And it is one that I recently read and I absolutely love. The next question is to recommend a book with a Black girl on the cover. And for that, I'm going to recommend Queenie. It is a book that kind of just made me so proud to read. It's a girl who progresses and gets more comfortable with herself, and she's getting over a breakup, and she's just coming into herself. And it made me smile, and it just made me feel so satisfied reading her story. The next question says to recommend books by a Black author that makes me happy, and that is going to be the Children of Blood and Bone series. I love Avatar, and I love being a Black woman, and I love some Black girl magic, and these books just kind of morphed it all into one, and I felt like I got to relive some of my favorite aspects of Avatar, and I got to relive it as a Black girl, which just made it that much better. And I cannot wait for the third book in this series, as well as the movie adaptation. The next one is for me to talk about a book by a Black author that will be releasing this year, in the year of 2020. For that, I'm going to select Black Sun, which I'm actually excited about, and it's by Rebecca Roanhorse, and it's the first book and I guess a new series. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be a trilogy or what, but I know that it is the first book in a new series. This book is about this holy city named Tova, that they have this big event coming up called the Winter Solstice, and it's supposed to be a big celebration. But unfortunately, on this Winter Solstice, there will be a solar eclipse happening, and someone has kind of prophesied that this solar eclipse would throw off the balance of their world. So everyone's a little worried about it. And then there's also, from what I understand, a character that is on her way into the city of Tova, and she's bringing along one passenger who is supposed to be this harmless person, but she doesn't necessarily believe that he's harmless, because she feels like people that are described as harmless turn out to be villains most of the time. This book is inspired by a pre-Columbian America, which is essentially saying that, you know, this city is inspired by America being what it was before colonizers came and started to explore and wreak havoc on the land. It has a little bit of fantasy, a little bit of indigenous inspirations, as well as some political aspects. And those are just three things that make a book sound really interesting to me. If you've been watching my channel, then you know that, like, that's all I need to hear. I'm sold. Okay, and then lastly, I am supposed to tag some Black booktubers, which there are so many of us that I could probably spend 10 minutes listing them off. I'm going to put them in my description box below. Make sure that you guys check out their channel. So that is all that I have for you guys today. I will see you guys in my next video.